On no.
Go ahead and get started on this Emerging Technologies Committee meeting, and Jared, go ahead and take it away.
Well, first, thank you guys for your time to discuss this proposal tonight, and wanted to start off just first with a little brief history, if you'll bear with me here. Kind of the evolution of our cable TV department. Of course, that got started back in the early 90s. We began broadcasting back in 1995, and its only main priority at that time was to air city council and school board meetings. That's when it launched. That was the main purpose of the Medina TV or the cable TV department. Since then, it's now evolved where we cover communication services for the city of Medina, Medina City Schools, the Performing Arts Center, Medina County, Main Street Medina, and others. The work now has evolved not only to what is on our Armstrong channels, but it's also what is not seen on TV, but are just as important to each of the entities that we represent. And some of those evolution of services, I know there's a lot there, and I couldn't even fit them all on one page, just because I didn't want to get it too tiny there for you. But the biggest evolution came due to COVID. We can thank COVID for that. Technology and communication processes had to change rapidly to meet the demands of our public. And our department was at the forefront of that, helping with the remote meetings, live meetings, trying to juggle all that, and as well as getting information out to residents during that time. We also created this rotunda well out of this project as we worked on that as well, and then working with Medina County to get full disclosure of all city businesses, and we were able to meet sunshine laws with both those departments to do that. We expanded also from just covering meetings to becoming a source of information and entertainment for the city on both the schools channel and the government's channel, as well as social media. We've expanded that social media aspect to now the over-the-top apps, such as Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick, Amazon. You can now go on and find the city of Medina as one of your favorite channels and put it on that app. We spearheaded the creation of the website not once, now we're on our third redesign, and brought all departments. At one time we had, I think we had 7 different websites for the city. So we brought that all under one umbrella so that all departments were now under one website. We also handle the website administration day to day, whether the biggest one now is tracking down files that are still out there for the community to find that are outdated, getting rid of those, updating in information to keep the website as fresh as possible. We have also worked on creating programs that tackle the tough issues to help with the transparency of government, whether it be race relations, equity, political issues, election coverage. We've evolved to be one of the few sources for election results, one of the best places for candidates to come and be able to express their views for residents to see, to be able to vote on, and that goes as high as the federal level now, where they call us when there is national voting to be done, that they want to come here and do the programming. So it's nice to see us to be able to be the leader in that regard. We also assist other departments with various tasks, whether that's gathering video to assist with application grants, following up on those application grants by showing the work done to help out with those dollars. We've assisted in the creation of presentations that are needed in day-to-day operations for the departments. One of the projects we work on now is enhancing blueprints to assist police and fire when responding to emergencies. We kind of simplified blueprints that you see, remove the layers, so when they go to respond to a call, they can just see where are the alarms, where are the triggers, where are possibly some chemicals that we need to be aware of, so that it can help their response time and be more efficient. So that's something we just started. Also, we've assisted with economic development, doing business creation, helping with business testimonials, promotion, and also the ribbon cutting ceremonies we assist on. We also have staff that assist the school and city with translation. When we have the language barriers, we have employees that can go and help with that. Drone services are another big issue that we've done, working with the city, schools, and career center. We've done a lot of drone work, and some of that has actually been proactive. Quick story there is one of the examples. We were down shooting drone footage of the hotel, and it had just been a heavy rain, and we just happened to spin towards Castle Noel and saw that their roof was still flooded. And so we were able to fly and get footage of that, and had we not caught that, it probably would have led to a massive flooding of their roof. an impending danger because there was actually something wrong with the drainage system on their roof. So we were able to go with Dan Gladish then and get that straightened out. So that ended up being another benefit that we were able to provide outside city services there. And then consulting services, I'm constantly called in to various entities to help provide advice or technical services for equipment they want to buy or purchase, whether that's been churches, schools, county. There's been a numerous list of those that we go into. So that's been kind of how we've evolved from just doing city council meetings and school board meetings, that we've kind of fall under this umbrella. So I want to make it clear too, as we work through this, with those partnerships we have, this is not jeopardizing any of those current relationships we have with the schools, county, or any other entity that we work with. It's just trying to find a greater return of investment for the city for their dollars that they invest into our department. And as you see there, that's one of the things that I've told council, gosh, probably for like the last 7 years, every time I have my 5-year budget hearing, that we're looking at cord cutters, people starting to cut that cord, and franchise fees are going to start to dwindle away. And you can kind of see on those numbers there how those numbers are decreasing. As you look at just from 23 to 24, you're almost a $12,000 decrease right there. And that's about the standard pace. We're going about $15,000 a year downward with that. And thanks to Paul Rose and Mayor Hanwell, they looked at the implementation of getting the RETA tax fund transferred over, and you see those numbers reflected there as well. So that has created the coverage of the budget as we look at the 5-year budget, and so basically it is the 100% investment there for the city that funds our budget in that regard. So very thankful for City Council having that vision to help us with that and keep our budget balanced. Catch up with my notes there. So additional income, we were also charged with that aspect of it. We have gone out and the schools help us in regards of the technical operations director position. The city covers the benefits for the employee, the school covers the salary for that, and his hours are split between the city and school as far as his job work detail. And he handles the Performing Arts Center, the middle stage, and other venues at the high school. It includes theater maintenance, new purchases, budgeting, scheduling of employees, contracting with rentals, scheduling events, ticketing, and much more, just to give you a little background on his job description. The schools also provide us with the housing at this current time, the phone, internet, heating, cooling, and everything for our cable TV department. And then we also work at $67 an hour for jobs that we do for Medina County. And then we also do some side contractual jobs that pop up on a yearly basis. One year is Main Street Medina, other times it's been the Medina County Career Center. So we still look at other ways to bring money into the budget, so we don't necessarily have to rely on, or just try to find other ways to make up for those shortfalls that we may have. So again, it's the graciousness of City Council that's stabilized our budget for the cable TV department, and that's why I feel we need to do a little more for the city in terms of what we do now, try to expand on what we can do for the city to help with that return. Looking to do this proposal, you look at some of the ways we can actually save money, and that's, you don't have to hire other positions in the future, as you wouldn't have to look to a communication specialist, a website administrator, or a social media specialist. So that creates no need to create those departments. You could also look at the savings in not using third-party apps. One of the examples, we had a discussion with civil service, and they're looking at the health and wellness program that we have here in the city. And a lot of the apps that run those services come at a cost. And we were discussing ideas of how maybe we could remove those costs and bring it under our umbrella, that we can make it happen through the website so that it save the city money. That's just early discussions. I don't think the mayor's even brought up to that. So we're just different ways looking at things to see how we can save the city money. Of course, assisting with the grants is where we're also beneficial and can help with things like that. So looking at other ways where we can help maybe save the city some money and things that we're already investing in by streamlining some of the workflow. And then why a need for the communications department? Of course, one of the key things, and that's one of the things they taught us in our FEMA training for public information, is you have to have a unified message across the city. Have it coming from one source, so that way you kind of prevent things from going awry. To promote a positive image of the city, just making people feel proud that they are part of the city, or even want to come see what's going on in the city that makes it so special. Maintaining the narrative and public perception, if you can control the narrative with all the positives, when the negatives comes, you're going to be a little more in front of it. You know something's coming, you can be in front of it, be ready to react to the media, everything that can come your way with that. And then it creates a standardized message across also social media platforms. So it can be one message for everybody. We can all push initiatives throughout the departments to promote the city in a positive way. As you look at some of the roles that could fall into this department, the web administration, easy enough, you would update and troubleshoot problems on the day-to-day basis of the website, updating the calendar that'll be on the website with all the things that are going on in the city so the residents can make this a one-stop shop to come to and find out what's going on. Keeping our news, that's one of the things that's fallen behind on the website, keeping news fresh so that it's not old and outdated and people start to lose trust in the website and don't want to come to it because they're not seeing that fresh news being put out there. So that's something I'd like to see us improve on. Also, the video and photo content, being able to keep that fresh and seasonally applying so you're not putting Ice Festival pictures up in the middle of the summer and vice versa with summer activities. Also looking at public media and education and outreach, I would love to create content and educational information to help people know about things, whether it's senior snowplow program, leaf pickup, things to follow if you're putting out your trash, just things like that that can educate the residents about what needs to be done or can be done in the city. Media relations, I kind of talked on that a little bit before, where you just work on creating that positive relationship with the news and everyone around so that they work with you as the problems come back. Sorry, keeping up with my notes. In the crisis of the bad times, be the voice there. Again, being FEMA trained for public information, I can step in and help out with those situations. An emergency crisis situation does arise, allowing other people to work on things that can be beneficial for the city. Again, not encroaching on anyone there, whether it be police or fire. Of course, I would defer there because they're the more experts in those situations, but whatever assistance I could provide, I would look to do so. ADA compliance is another one. We're working to that goal at 2027. We have to meet all the ADA compliance for everything on the website and maybe even social media aspects of that, of what we put up there. Making sure it's compliant with everybody's needs and wants for that so you don't face any lawsuits after 2027. We've been the main source of video and photo for the last 30 years and would continue to do so. We're probably one of the richest histories as far as having video of things that happened over the city over the last 30 years and would continue to do so under this. Also continue our work now of helping with speech and presentations for all departments. If anyone needs those, we'll be willing to help out with that. So in conclusion, as you look at this, we've had the increased support of City Council for the recent years, and I think it's timely and appropriate to expand our collaboration with the city to reflect that. And as technology continues to evolve, so do the ways that people gather information. So there's a bit of a communication gap, I feel, that we can work on addressing to bring everyone under one umbrella to go out and find the ways to reach our residents. I don't think it's their goal to come find us. We've got to go find them and be able to do that, and then also modernize our roles here at cable TV, because we're just listed as the cable TV department, and we've evolved, as I showed earlier in the earlier slides, beyond that to this point. And I could just really feel that we could meet those needs effectively by basically just transferring what is a cable TV department into a communications department. And I think of all the positive things I didn't even touch on here on some of these slides, being able to do in-service, so not, or internal, I should say, not just external communication, but internal communication. I could see us doing focus features on an employee of the month. I could see us doing a feature that would enlighten all employees of upcoming things, whether it's health and wellness, flu shots, anything else internally, maybe even an internal newsletter to keep people up to date on what's going on internally within the city. Just ways to make even employees feel proud about coming here day to day and even have that reflect out to the community, because some of those could cross over and be pieces, whether it's a mayor's minute or a quick fire safety video that goes out, change your smoke detectors this month, or just anything that might be there, or PD with a concern they've had recently, things that could just get published out there in short snippets that can go across all venues. So those are all kind of things that we're starting to look to, and kind of with the work we already do, I could see us easily transitioning into a department like that. And then working closely with the marketing manager in economic development, or if police were to get anyone in that regard, or fire, or anyone else, kind of bringing those in as we operate under one umbrella and work all together to do the best we can to promote everything for the city. So that's kind of where I am at right now. I can take, oh, I had one more, sorry. As I look at the department structure, kind of how we sit now. If you look how we are now, we report to the mayor. Currently, I'm the general manager. We would just switch the title to Director of Communications. Our Technical Operations Director to the Assistant Director, and then the Operations Director that we have to Communications Specialist. So it's just a matter of then going to civil service to just to create the change in those job titles, to add the extra things that we do now that have not been updated in the job description since we did it last. So with that, I can leave it open to any questions that you guys might have.
Paul, I saw you scribbling.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was just scribbling. Okay. One question with regard to a lot of angst and conversations I've had with other people in other departments. Right now, they do certain things for communications, whether it's economic development or the police department or whatever. How do you see this new structure working with, impacting the existing way we do things right now?
Yeah, I don't see it impacting what's already being done. That's not the goal of this. The goal of this is to bring in and enhance and improve and make what we do even better. Not saying that they weren't doing it better to begin with, but just trying to make it all one group and bring what we have to the table to match with what they bring to the table to make us better as a whole.
Okay, so one way I've been describing it to some people is basically whatever they're doing today, they're going to continue to do today. We're just providing them a new vehicle for starters, and then as this grows, things can change, evolve, what have you.
That's a good way to put it, yes.
Okay, all right. And then how is this going to impact our relationships with the schools?
In my mind, it's still the same partnership, and I know that's something our Access Committee wanted to address, is reevaluating that agreement to get it updated, since it's been quite a few years since we've had that. But as far as the workload goes, we would still continue to operate as we do. It's just a matter of shifting the order, maybe that in which we do things, but still be able to accomplish all the same goals for the county, the schools, and the city.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could. I'm sorry, Mrs. Chairman. Apologize, I was thinking John, when he was up there, I thought he was still running this. So Paul, I can
confuse
answer
people?
that too, is some of these things, like if the fire department's doing a press release, if the police department's doing a press release, if Barbara's doing a press release, I think the consistency would still make sense to have their proposed release, then reviewed by Jared. You know, if we're going to put the city logo on each, if we're going to put the city logo and the department logo, again for consistency. And the other thing, unrelated to your question, but I think it's important for council to hear, is not my entire time as mayor, because it took me a little bit to catch on, but this access committee that is kind of an oversight committee for the cable TV office as well. So what I began to do, probably at least for the last 5, if not 8 years, is involve Jacqueline in my recommendations for the annual evaluation of Jared and get her input on those as well. She's always offered input and always been very complimentary of what Jared is doing. And she contacted me directly when she heard about this proposal and said that this has been discussed with the Access Committee, and they are in favor of getting this in front of the council and hopefully approving it.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Could I? I just want to make a couple points. Jared hit on it, and Jared and I have talked about this for a long time. But, you know, he said they started broadcasting in 95, and from the 90s up till the early 2010s sometime, the cable franchise fee comes in as a quarterly thing, and every quarter was more than the prior quarter. It just was up and up and up. And then Jared and I started talking about it a long time ago. I was like, hey, this is not growing anymore. Kind of peaked out, and then it's been dropping off, so that's a big part of catalyst to what is going on. And I just, as a department head, I just want to share, working with this department is really helpful. When we did a thing for Moody's, when we did our last bond issue, we're always trying to push the fact that the 5-year plan is something that everybody's on board with. And they give us a clip of council passing the 5-year plan, so you guys were in a little video that we put out. So it was like, okay, this isn't something that just the finance director drew up. Look, here's council voting on it. They were able to give us, you know, pictures and little video snips of a couple other things too. I think I don't know if we ended up using it, but we had one of like the industrial area just to show, okay, here's what we've got. And it, just the stuff that they have. And I didn't even have to ask them to go out and make any videos they didn't already have. It was just stuff they had on the shelf because they've got a lot of this stuff from other projects they've done, and they can just get you a clip if you need it for something, which is really convenient for something like that to be able to show what our city's about.
Thank you.
Well, I'm trying to go back for a minute then, like, think about the Friday morning update that goes out every week. Barbara, you do that now, correct?
Barbara does, yeah.
Barbara, like, so I'm just trying to think, in my mind, Jared, you understand, I'm thinking of communications like we do for the schools. Every single piece of material that goes out runs through that communications department. So would you become involved in something like that weekly?
Well, I would see that as being, since each entity kind of knows, and people are trusted for what they do now, is I think you have meetings, whatever time frame you set apart, and just make sure everybody's on the same page as you head out. I don't think it's necessarily something people have to be supervised on. They should know their role, and if it's something that they're not in line with, then there's other recourses for that. But I think you just work as a team, have those meetings, and know what people are going out and working on. You know, it's simple as here's what's going to be in the newsletter next week. Oh yeah, what about this? This is coming up too. Oh yeah, thank you for bringing that. You just kind of bring those conversations in. And like I said, not stepping on anyone's toes that's doing a job now. We're just trying to find ways to fit in, enhance, and improve as best we can what we do for our residents.
Where do you think you should be located if you were in charge of communications?
Well, the mayor and I had a discussion about that as well, because again, being over at the schools, you're not here to hear a lot of that. I think that's one you work out where would love to come over here to be closer, but doesn't mean I would defer from things that are at the school. So whether that's you split days half, do 3 days on, 2 days here, whatever, that's something that would have to be discussed and worked out, whether here all the time and go over to the schools, you know, remote in there when things are going on, or when the work entails. It'd be no different than if I was going out on a shoot for the city versus going out on a shoot for the schools. I'd just be out of the office for that hour. But of course, on call with technology now, you're right there at your phone and can respond to anything and take care of that remotely as well. So I also envision this job being beyond the 40-hour work week as well. There'll be many times where off hours or something happens on a weekend that you have to respond to and reply to. So, and I think the mayor and I have discussed different options for that. Back to the housing, there's some different pieces in play there that we had discussions on, but I think you got to kind of wait till whether it's Muni Court or the Muni Court being done and then law department leaving, and then that creates a shuffle over here, or whether it's the feasibility study being done as they look at space here at City Hall. So I think those are options to all explore.
Okay.
Oh, Matt.
Not to jump on Jared at all, but I do think we would probably be split because, you know, to keep all the Performing Arts Center responsibilities, it would be very inefficient for me to not be there. Correct. A lot of the job there is kind of spur of the moment. People stop in the office and stuff. So to maintain efficiency, I don't think the entire department would move together. I just wanted to add that. So we would still be at the high school as well, just maybe not Jared as much.
Correct, yeah. Thank you, Matt, for clarifying that. Yes, that's exactly right. He could stay and still handle the performing arts things. Miles could be there, or wherever I would need Miles could be the shuffle that day. Hey, today I need a city hall to help me out, or I need you at the schools that day. So that it would be that give and take there for that, yes.
Anybody else?
I just have listening to this, it sounds like it makes a lot of sense for uniformity of messaging throughout the city, because each department has their individual messaging that they send out for their specific purpose. Like the fire department has a specific purpose about fire safety, about information about what you need in your homes and what you're supposed to do. The police department has information about the community, and not only the community, the school resource officers, and what you're supposed to do, and how do we convey that messaging? Because I know the chief's looking at adding a person whose job is solely the messaging of those ideas from the police department that will bring the community together and, help guide people through issues that they may have. And I know Barbara does a lot of stuff through economic development in the city as a whole. What it seems to me like is if there's going to be somebody in charge, and it's you, overseeing, there's got to be somebody that oversees the uniformity of the messaging giving throughout the whole city. And that would be, everybody would have their own jobs that they have now, but you would have to meet with all these people. I think there would be constant meetings to make sure that everybody is on the same page from the city's perspective. The jobs that each individual does in each department will continue, but everybody has to know what everybody else is doing in order for the things to run more smoothly. Because if the police department has their own person going out messaging something, and you're doing something else, and you say, well, I didn't know they were doing that, because you're going to be asked questions. And so everybody's got to be able to answer the other questions. Just like if the officer goes out in school and somebody says, what about the city doing this? And if you have the same communication and the same information flowing through a central place, they would all know the answers. They wouldn't have to say, well, I'll get back to you on that. They could say, well, here's kind of what was going on that, and you can visit the website, or you can visit this, or we'll send you more information. But I know there's a lot of different people doing all these things in the city, but I do agree that if it's under one, direction, not necessarily under one control at the beginning, because I have no idea how that would work, but as long as the one messaging is the same, it seems like it would work. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, and that's kind of what I mentioned earlier. I think that's the key, is having those meetings to make sure everybody is on the same page, and I think a lot of that would come down to what the mayor's message would be too, knowing what message the mayor wants for the community, making sure that we are relaying that messages and making sure that's passed in those meetings, that we all know here's the main goal. I know there's all these other things going on, but let's make sure we stick to the main message, which is A, B, or C.
Well, unfortunately, it sounds like technically everybody in the meeting would be the people directly in charge of disseminating that information, and then the department heads, right? Because they're the ones that have to convey to their individual departments of, they know what's going on in their department. And, I don't know if it wouldn't have to be like a meeting every month or something, maybe.
I think you do the people that are involved with the social media, the marketing, the information officers, whether it be police or fire, that have those are your main ones that you have. Then you go out separately and talk to the department heads, and if they have something coming up they need assistance with or want to bring into the fold, then those are,
Well, I don't know
that's
if you just talk
discussed
to them, because they may
individually.
want to hear what you're talking, what the police is talking about and all that. So it's kind of like not an advisory committee or something, but I would think somebody on council would want to know what's going on in the city.
Oh, of
too.
course,
So
of course,
we'd want
yeah.
to be involved in somebody in the meetings to learn, hey, you guys are doing what? Because we do it on this end, but day-to-day stuff is so different. Especially if you're sending out, emails. I know that as council, we send out emails just from a legislative perspective. And there's a communication aspect. So we'd have to be involved in what you do, because we do a lot of communication.
And that would be good, what Jared brought up about having like internal information that he would be responsible for disseminating out. So wouldn't that kind of like cover that, what John's talking about?
But I think John too is saying with all the different departments, making sure everybody still has that voice to be part of that conversation, to make sure it's the one message. Yeah, I know what you're saying there.
Madam Chairman? First of all, I think this, Natalie and Jared, I think this is a great idea, and obviously between Barbara and your committee, you've been working really hard with this, and I support it 100%. And I do think it is so important, especially when we're talking about messaging. I'd never want to see anything disrupt the partnerships that we have with the schools and the various departments in the city, economic development, just I think benefits from what you're doing now, and I can just see that become more enhanced.
And a lot of the credit goes to them. They do a lot of their
Oh,
own
no, no,
work
no.
without me. I don't want to look like I'm jumping in on
not-
that. They
I'm
do a
not-
great job.
I'm not, blowing smoke for you. I know everybody is involved and done a great job. Where it really brought it home to me when I was reading some of the emails and things that sent out was a couple weeks ago with the disaster in Minneapolis. Out of all the natural disasters, the horrible, terrific disasters in the surrounding states and states around the country, that initial press conference and the ones that followed I was impressed. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to impress me, but I was impressed because all the messaging was the same. They had everything coordinated from the various different local, state, and federal groups that were there covering and getting the message out. And everybody had, obviously, I don't know what their structure is for their police units, but everybody had the same message. One, probably because the shooter was still at large, but each one of them got their message out and said, don't answer your doors if it's a single police officer.
Right.
And just the whole messaging, I thought, boy, this is something, not just because of a disaster that could happen, but this is something that I really and truthfully think that the city and the schools would really benefit from. It just more coordination and, yeah, it's going to have growing pains, but I think it would.
Well, and I think it's a good point, Denny. There will be some growing pains with it because it's
Sure.
it's a period of adjustment for anybody, so yeah.
And to that point, Denny, this is where Jared's training as a FEMA public relations
sure.
officer will come in
Oh, I
spades.
agree 100%.
Yes.
And I would believe in doing the same with my staff. I'd like to get them certified as well as part of the process. So if for some reason, vacations or sick or anything, there's the next person to step in that role.
Right. Thank you.
Did you have-
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions. So our office handles a lot of social media for the city, but I think the chief, he does social media, and I think he's got a couple people that have access to, like, they have their PD, social media. Fire chief has his own, I think the rec center has
Yep.
their own. Is it your thought that we would still do that individually, or is all the social media going to be passed over to this new department and then they push it out?
So I'm not going to answer for Jared, but I'm just going to say, I don't see how that would be feasible for one person to do the job that 4 people or 5 people are doing. But I'll let Jared.
Yeah, no, I agree totally with that. Between police and fire, they have their own things that are going on. They can handle it, address it much easier. I think the way you just look at it is if we have a message or something that we want to make sure we're pushing or getting out, that we coordinate with all those pages, share likes, things of that nature, that then creates more of an algorithm, gets people tuning into it. There's a whole social media side of that where you can draw in more viewers, more likes, and more people. But as far as keeping people doing their individual jobs on their page, I think that makes the most sense.
And also, too, I think we talked about this too, Jared, about the fact that if we have this communications department and it's available on the website, people could go one-stop click to see what's going on in economic development rather than trying to suss out that individual page or whatever it may be. So that would be like the benefit of having, the communications department. You would still have your stuff, the chief would still have his, Chief Kenny would still have his, but if somebody went to our website, they might be able to find it like that. Because you would have the live links, right?
Yes, there will be live links as part of the new redesign where you can go in and access all the different Facebook pages, websites, Roku, all those apps will be able to be accessed off the page.
I have a comment. Listening to all this, and I do have a background in operations, I have to believe that certainly there's going to be growing pains as you guys work together with the different departments, but as you develop the processes, I can see that there are going to be some efficiencies that obviously the different departments and you will figure out as you go along. So I see this definitely as a benefit to the departments who will work together, work with you and in your group to get the information out to the public. I got to believe that you're going to find some things that are going to alleviate some stresses, whatever they are, in getting the message out, maybe reducing some work, but you'll figure that out as you go along, because that's just what you do.
And it'll take a team to get things accomplished, so that you definitely need everybody on the team for that.
Right, right.
So I don't think the goal
the-
is to eliminate other pages, back to the last question, but I think something that is totally feasible would to be the City of Medina's social media page, and you share the police story, you share economic development story, so that the public has one place that they can find everything. And that's basically your unified message. So it's not necessarily us getting, or the communication department getting all the stories out there, but posting the relevant data to one place. So it is unified. And you find issues with that all over the place, like where there's, this is the church social media, and then you have a friends of the church social media, and people are like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? So people can always cross-reference, and we can just simply share the police posts, the fire posts, the economic development posts. So it is in a unified place, and that's completely feasible for the department to do, but we're not necessarily writing all the messaging. We're reviewing it and sharing it.
And as a quick background, Matt just got his Master's of Arts in Strategic Communications, so he just got that from BGSU, so hence why he speaks with a little bit of knowledge on that regard.
And then I'm sorry, so then the other item, somebody had mentioned the newsletter. We actually have two. We have a Workforce and Talent newsletter, and then the newsletter that Barbara publishes. Are you wanting to review those, or what is your thought about that?
No, I think that you guys have it. It's working well. You have a lot of subscribers. I think it's just a matter of keeping in the loop of what's going on with those, and is there something that's not working, is working, things we can improve on, kind of that conversation. Those can be done in those meetings we would have.
Well, what's not working right now is when Barbara sends it out, it's going to our spam, but I don't think that's an issue you could fix. I think it's an IT thing, but, and then the other thing, I think that, I'm sure the chiefs probably get this, I know I get it from time to time. We have inquiries from the media about different projects, issues. What is your thought on how to approach that?
Well, of course, we're guided by the law on that, and how we have to respond and what we can respond with. So I think you got to try to follow those guidelines and meet those guidelines. And of course, that would take the help of every department that's being requested of, to make sure they help you respond in that timely manner, and stay on top of them and make sure it does get in that time, so that we're not facing consequences down the road for not replying in the time you should.
Yeah, like a lot of times we'll get something, they just like, hey, we want to talk to you about the, fill in the blank XYZ project, or the XYZ grant, or the XYZ, whatever
and
that is, and,
And I think that's a great one where if it's something, say, in your department, I could come to you and say, okay, what's our response that you would like us to have as a city for this matter? And then that could go out in an email to everybody else, so if that comes up to them, they know the response that the city has is a reply for that time frame. And I think that way you keep that unified message there. It's coming from that department head that knows the matter the best, and you can kind of manage it that way. And then if it gets larger, then you just make adjustments as talking with the department head and with the group, and keep moving forward.
And I think that having this communications department would, if somebody's like, oh, well, how do I find out about this? It goes to communications, and then he would discern it to whichever department it needs to go to, rather than somebody trying to guess, is this economic development? Is this good with mayors? That would be something that would make this a lot more efficient, rather than somebody trying to go to different, oh, no, you have to go to this department. So that's what I see as another benefit.
And as a follow-up question, I guess, in looking at this, I don't know how it would be incorporated, but public records requests. I mean, everybody gets them all over the place. Does it make sense to go through one person so that you may be able to handle it with some communications too? I mean, the law director has to get involved, but is it better to come through one person?
So our policy now is, because I don't have the police records, I don't have the fire records, so the department heads on a public records request or their staff, they delegate it to staff, they gather it all together, but nothing goes out for public records without the law director's review. And that policy is working pretty well. I don't see that the same as communications. That's just an obligation that we have under the Ohio Revised Code. And we also have time constraints with that, so the less people we can have involved, the better.
Well, yeah, the only thing I thought that would come into play would be if you're getting public records requests, there's a couple reasons why you're getting them. People just to aggravate the situation, or they actually don't know.
Right.
And the question is, if they don't know, then you would like to know that, because maybe you could change your dispatch of the information to educate or inform people. Because I think there's only two reasons to get them: for litigation-related purposes or something, or just for, they just don't know.
It's mostly the former. Aggravation.
But we get a lot that are research too, people that are like, people send in things, I'm doing this public records request because I'm doing a graduate project, and I want to know like this, that, or the next thing. Those ones are like, hey, you can get your own research, but we have to do it for them, so we do, you know.
Okay, anybody else? Any other comments?
I would just add one more, if I could. I see this as just an initial discussion rather than a change. For the change, and Jared can correct me if I'm wrong, but for the change, we're going to have to look at each of the job titles and each of the job descriptions. I'm sure, because every time we look at job descriptions, we're doing a bunch more than what the job description says, because over the years, the job transitions as things change. So if that makes sense to the committee, what I'd like to do is have us go through those pieces first. The process would be, once they're reviewed again by the law director, the changes in the job descriptions, proposed changes, it would then go to the civil service, ultimately come to the council, and then if we want to, that would change the name of the department from Medina or Cable TV to Communications Department, and then the related job descriptions that go along with it, if that makes sense to everybody.
Yes. Yes.
So I guess my point is, it's not going to be on the next finance meeting or anything like that. It's going to take us a little while to get those pieces in place.
We can still vote to move it up
We
to
can, yes,
finance, and
yeah.
you can sit there.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we move this up to the full finance committee when all of the underground paperwork is complete.
Underground?
Background, excuse me,
There you go. I was
background.
going to say, felt so secretive there.
Someplace.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
So we vote to move this to full finance. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jared.
Thank
By
you.
the way, I just want to say, thank you all for being so kind and saying Natalie did some, Jared put out this all together. He made this excellent slideshow, so kudos to him.
Thank you.